and welcome. It's Chris, your friendly neighborhood acupuncturist. Welcome, and I just want to share some good information on health and healing, what I would call the natural way, nature's healing. I want to get on today and talk about why I do these videos. And one important reason, I think, is I think it's important to be proactive versus reactive when it comes to your health care. You know, when I talk to my patients in the clinic, it's interesting because I get inspiration from our conversations. They'll ask questions, it'll get me going on certain subjects, and things start spilling out of my brain, and I wish I could make a video in that moment, actually. But you know, what I realize is a lot of times the nature of our current medical system oftentimes is don't fix it until it breaks, and then you react. You see, then you go to the doctors. But there should be more focus on trying to prevent things before they happen. And that's going to require you being aware of what to look for in regards to signs and symptoms. And then when you know what to look for, then you can make good choices in prevention, right? And practices in prevention that can help put you on a good path. And oftentimes when it comes to prevention, you can't wait until you're deep in the weeds with some kind of health issue. You have to try to work a little bit ahead of time and try to be early in your practices in prevention and being proactive. So people oftentimes are familiar with the basics like exercise and making good choices in your diet, you know, as far as practices in prevention go. But there's more detail. You know, there's a lot of different aspects, whether it's diet, digestion, your sleep, your mental, emotional health and wellness, okay, just your mindset, you know, and how you go about your day, whether it be in a positive way or in a negative way with your mindset, your stress levels and how you manage them. What sort of practices do you have that can help you in regards to stress management, for example? Okay, so, you know, I recently put together a platform called learn.natureshealing.info. It's an extension or a subdomain of my main website called natureshealing.info. And this is something I get into. It's going to be a forum where I'm going to build online courses over time, things that I kind of like and do, and things that I teach actually my patients and I've learned for myself. And that's going to be a good resource to tap into this sort of thing when it comes to prevention. Talking about prevention here. And I'm going to zero in on one aspect that is, you know, part of what is featured with the online courses that are there. There's one in particular called Master Your Health Naturally with 12 Principles, and that's kind of a whole system. So instead of just focusing on one thing like diet or just sleep or exercise, for example, it's actually a whole system based on 12 principles. And this is all natural. It's a natural path or a natural approach. So we're not going to get into things like, you know, medications or surgeries or any kind of conversation about even herbal stuff, for example, or supplements. It's more about things that you could actually do right now at home for yourself. You just have to watch the videos and learn about it. Easy to do. But one thing, for example, I was talking to a patient in the clinic not too long ago, and we were talking about diet. And I wanted to make diet suggestions. And I was talking about certain principles, and the patient came out and said, I have a good diet. And so part of me wanted to say, okay, nothing more to see here, move along. She's got a good diet. just being kind of silly, but there's so much to understanding what that means. You know, and each person individually may require different things or different approaches to their diet. That's why you would need somebody that knows a little bit more, you know, a health professional that could guide you in that way. And you know, again, my conversations are not conventional when it comes to this sort of self-care. We're not going to get into counting calories, okay, and measuring out foods. I mean, I think that is just exhausting. You know, it's going to be a little more practical and simple approach. But I want to get into uh, a conversation about diet, but just to show you, give you an example. You know, when somebody has digestive issues, like real strong digestive issues, say you get somebody who's dealing with like chronic bloating and feeling terrible down below, right? Maybe they got heartburn every day practically, often throughout the week. There could be issues of, you know, diarrhea, constipation, just irregularity. There could be a lot of digestive discomfort, pain, cramping. You know, this is not something we should accept. It's not normal. And you should be aware of that. And then you should be looking for things that can alleviate that. Sometimes people are taking over-the-counter medication to make those symptoms go away, but it's like a Band-Aid. They're not really fixing anything. They're just alleviating a symptom, but then they continue down the path of perhaps a not so good diet and not so good digestion. That's the key thing to understand. It's one thing to eat good food, healthy food, what we might think is healthy, but then it's another thing to ask, am I digesting that food well? Because if you're not digesting it well, you're not absorbing the nutrients properly, then your body is not going to have the resources it needs, like those building blocks, to build the proteins and the resources that it needs, like hormones, for example, or to produce the energy that we need for our body to function. So knowing that you're digesting your food well is important, and making choices in foods that are going to be easy to digest is important. And if you're deep in the weeds, for example, with digestive problems, and what's a digestive problem? A big one is you're feeling bloated and gassy. Well, what's going on there? You put food in your mouth, it goes into your stomach secretes acid to boil it, you know, to kind of melt it, let's say, and it turns it into liquid. And then that liquid can be absorbed easily and detoxed through the liver, and then it can be sent out to the body in the proper form. And when you feel bloated and gassy, that's a sign that the food is rotting inside you. It's not being digested. It's, you know, if you left food on the counter, say like an apple, and you cut it, it starts turning brown, right? What's happening? It's rotting right there. And that rotting process is the natural, like, you know, there's bugs on that apple, you know, like germs, like bacteria, that's eating that apple, and it's producing like a gas, okay? And when we have food inside us and it's not breaking down, it's like there's a rotting happening right in our intestines, right in our stomach. It should be destroyed, like any kind of bugs that are on the food should be destroyed partly through the cooking process, but you know, there's always something. We're talking about a microcosm, you know, a small world of things where there can be thousands and millions of live, you know, like bacteria, for example. And we're ingesting this, and it might not be killed off through the cooking process or or even the gut itself producing acid and killing it that way as well. And so our gut gets overwhelmed over time, and then it doesn't work as well. The food doesn't break down as good. And we eat foods that are kind of very decadent and heavy for the digestive process, and it kind of piles up over time, and then we're in these big chronic health issues. So sometimes we have to start unraveling these things. And so I might say to a patient, you know, your digestive system is so bad that you need to eat kind of like how a baby would eat or an elderly person would have to eat, because they can't just quickly chew, swallow, have big chunks of food that are sitting in their gut and hoping that the body secretes a lot of acid to break it down. Okay, oftentimes the digestive system is very weak. You wouldn't give steak and potatoes to a baby. You know, things need to be kind of mushy and warm. And so I may say to a patient, you need to eat warm, mushy kind of food. Think of like oatmeal, but even oatmeal, it might be actually too sweet. You need something very bland, like a juk or a congee. These are things out of traditional Chinese medicine, but it's like a porridge. Maybe 6 cups of water to 1 cup of rice is like a basis, and you get this mushy rice, and you can put little bits in there like pieces of meat or pieces of vegetable, mushroom, for example. But it's just very basic, very bland, just to have something to eat and something that's going to be soothing for your digestive system. So if you're in a really bad way, that may be a beginning just to get something in you. And you know, you may be experiencing constipation or diarrhea, for example, and this may help abate that condition and calm it down so that your system can relax more. You know, in addition, if you've got a lot of stress coming at you, the digestive system doesn't work well when you're stressed out. The nervous system that controls the digestive system relies on you being relaxed to digest the food. There's little doors on the stomach. Think of the stomach as like a bag, and above there's a door that opens and closes, and below there's a door that opens and closes. They're called sphincters. And if you're stressed out, those doors won't open well, because the whole system, the nervous system and the digestive system, relies on you being relaxed instead of stressed out. And if you're stressed and those doors don't open and close properly, maybe they stay open, and the body produces acid and it starts creeping up into the esophagus and causing a burning sensation, and then you go take something to cool that acid down, you're actually limiting your ability to digest your food. And to get to the root problem is to learn the source of the stress and try to manage that and get your body out of that. Your body gets into a locked state where you feel stressed all the time, and it's hard for you to unlock yourself from that. So you would need help, like acupuncture could be very helpful in helping the body get out of this kind of like stuck mode in this stress mode. It's called sympathetic dominance. And it helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls the digestive system. Okay, and then those doors can work better, and then you can feel comfortable and won't feel the burning. This stuff takes a little bit of time. You have to unravel things. But just to take some acid stoppers, you're going to limit your ability to digest, and you're not going to get to the root of the problem. And things will get worse over time. So, again, prevention versus reaction, or proactive versus reactive. You know, where do you fall? How are you taking care of yourself? I hope you found some help with this information, in pointing out the difference between being reactive versus proactive. And, if you like to look into this more, check out some more of my videos. You can also look at the services we offer here at the clinic. And you can also check out the self-help videos. There are some that are free and some that you'd have to pay for, but off of the Learning Center that I have, the platform there. So check that out at learning.natureshealing.info. And right now, for a limited time, I'm offering $200 off of one of the courses called Master Your Health Naturally with 12 principles. Use the coupon code MASTER200. Again, it's MASTER200. I hope you find this helpful. I hope the video finds you in good health. Take care of yourself, and until next time, keep on the sunny side.